four four things to focus on when you are wanting to change your habits. This is actually from Jack Canfield about having only four things in a year to focus on that can change your habits into better habits. Hi, this is Jody Maley, and I am with the Fearless Online Entrepreneurs, and I am here today with my two lovely co-hosts, Diane Klein and Sharon Sutherland. And, we've collaboratively come together Monday through Thursdays to discuss areas in our lives that has been helping and to mentor others. And you know what? The thing is that when we do this, I think that we on the panel are growing just as much as you guys are. So we really enjoy any comments or questions or feedback that you may have, and this will be posted onto the website as well later. So again, just comment, share, if anything has touched you, that's the point. Even if we only touch one person today, that's the goal. All right, so I'll get into the topic here, which is the 4 habits to change in 1 year. And this was something that I actually have Jack Canfield's Power of Focus too. So of course he talks about that here in his success principles, and he talks about it in the Power of Focus. And if you too want to just jump on at any time, I'm just going to start by saying a statement and then we can comment on it. So develop 4 new success habits a year. The individual who wants to reach the top in business must appreciate the might and force of habit. He must be quick to break those habits that can break him and hasten to adopt those practices that will become the habits that help him achieve the success he desires. J. Paul Getty, founder of Getty Oil Company, philanthropist, I can't pronounce that, and by the late 1950s widely regarded as the richest man in the world.
Wow, we're going to listen to him.
Exactly, hey?
I would like to jump out on that comment. I actually have a little something here to read, and it's from The Greatest Secret in the World. And it says, "In truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. Thus, the first law I will obey, which preceded all others, is, I will form good habits and become their slaves." And last week we were on a boot camp. A few of us are with a boot camp with some of our leaders, and one of the leaders shared this, and she put it in the group, and I actually have it photocopied and here beside my desk because I want to memorize that, and I want to focus on forming some good habits. And when you form good habits, then the bad ones are washed away.
Awesome. Is that something that we can share in our group too, Diane? Because I was away on vacation last week. Yay! Or maybe we can even put it onto the Fearless Online post, because that would go really, really well in the post as well. That'd be awesome. And, when we do look at, maybe in our lives, in our business, in our relationships, because the 3 things that people always want to know about is having more love, having more money, and I can't think of the third one. But it all comes to love, money, relationships, peace, success. Yeah. So there are different areas that people realize, and it usually happens around, of course, January 1st, because that is the start of most people's new year. And then I find that people start again around September. For us, it's when our kids go back to school and stuff, and that's almost another start of a new year, because that's when kids are getting going and stuff too. And it's usually at these 2 times that people take a closer look and say, I'm either on track or I'm off track. And then they wonder, what can I do to change it so that I'm on track? So if you guys want to make a comment on that, that'd be awesome.
Good morning, everyone. The way to get on track is to have a plan. If you have a plan, then you know what you're going to do each day, and then you plan it out the night before. Get in the habit of making your next day plans the night before. So when you get up in the morning, you're not wasting time trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do today? You already have it already mapped out, and then all you have to do is just follow it. And yes, you're going to have to make adjustments along the way, but if you sit down and plan your day out before, make it a habit, and then when you get up the next morning, you're ready to go.
Sorry,
And
I'm trying to open up the book here. Go ahead, Di.
sorry, and he said here in the beginning of that very chapter that 90% of us work on habits. So if we form those good habits, he also mentions that when you get up in the morning, your body is already in mode to start getting at those habits. So just the way we brush our teeth and the way we get ready for our kids for school and all those habits that we have, we should form some good habit for business, for life, for exercise, for health, and that's what's going to help us to move towards the life that we are all dreaming of.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I love that 90% thing, behavior, right?
Yes.
Like, we can go to work, not think about the drive. You know how your mind can just kind of wander. But of course, starting out new, and you have, say, a new job that you're going to, you really, really pay attention to, okay, I want to make sure I'm on the right road. I've got to turn here. This is where I can park. And so the first couple of times you do it, you have to seek out and be really thinking about it. But then as time goes on and you know exactly, okay, now I hit these many lights, I turn here, and then it becomes automatic. It seems like you can just do that without thinking. So go ahead there, Sharon.
Yeah, and when you're developing your habits, the first thing you need to do is make a list of all the habits that keep you from being productive, from achieving your daily goals, and that make an impact in your life. Ask others, to help you, to be more objective and identify what they believe are limiting you from achieving your dreams and goals. And it could be something very simple, or it could be something more complicated. um Uncommon successful habits like procrastinating, paying bills at the last minute, not delivering on promised documents and services in a timely manner. Just simple things. Arriving late for meetings and appointments. That's one of my big no-nos. I think that you should, on time is 15 minutes early for a meeting or an appointment. So, get in the habit of realizing what's negative in your life or that's keeping you from being productive, and list them, and then figure out a way to make that change in your life. And you'll be surprised how everything start to turn around for you.
Exactly. And just on the same page that you're at, here's the title. Good or bad, your habits will always deliver results. And you know what? It
Exactly.
kind of makes me think of like our kids, right? We have our kids, and hopefully soon for me, grandchildren. Hint, hint, if any of my children watch this. um, but we teach our children certain things too, right? When you get dressed, I mean, it would look pretty odd if our kids wore their pants and then put their underwear on last. So some things
Wow.
have to be in a specific order. Otherwise, you feel uncomfortable, you look funny, and there's just certain things you got to do a certain way and then make it a habit, right? So I remember actually a couple of weeks ago, I don't know why, I must have had a bit of a headache and I wasn't thinking very clearly, but I actually took the milk and put the milk in the cupboard and the cereal back in the fridge.
Oh
so,
no.
so you know what? There are times too that you might be off course with some of those daily habits that you have, but he really recommends, and then let's go into this here too, that he recommends that you start with 4 different new habits a year. So what could you achieve if you took on 4 new habits a year? You'd like to comment on that?
Wow. I think I would be like ahead in leaps and bounds in my life. Like, think about it. If we would just form 4 new habits a year, and then for the next 5 years, that would be 20 habits. The
Yeah.
way he mentions it also here as you read on. But to think that For myself, I'm actually going to share about over a year ago. I did start doing forming some good habits, and I started doing yoga every single morning, and it worked out good for me because it was actually on TV at a certain time of the day. So I always knew I had to be there or I will miss the beginning of it. And I still have that habit. It is going on the second year here now, and I've benefited so much just from that one habit that I decided, okay, I have to do something on a consistent basis. I have to focus and just do it. And there's lots of other things I'm sure that a lot of us can share where we've started something like paying our bills every month on the same day or something like that. And it's benefited us so much. And then as you go, you just add more habits as you go.
And I think it's really important, too, that when you say those habits, how much of those can you automate? Okay, we live in a world where automation is done. And so you could set, if you are late with payments, or just because you forget on that day, then set it up that it automatically comes out of your bank account. What are simple things that you could do to change that? And I just kind of laughed a little bit earlier, Di, when you said, you would go ahead by leaps and bounds, and I kind of thought, yep, there's Lady Di, a super woman.
Well, sometimes I feel like a superwoman, Jody. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday to you. I forgot to say it yesterday. So another thing we have in common, our birthdays are like a day apart.
Oh, wow. Well, happy birthday to both of you.
Happy birthday to both of you from my end, too. One thing that you were saying, Jody, that caught my attention is when you work with your kids, some of the habits, when you try to automate everything, I do all my payments through online, and I try to keep up on schedule, but sometimes, being a single parent, something fires up, and you feel like, now what? Now what? So even though I plan my days the day before, I leave a gap for some inconveniences or things that come along. But I feel like on fire when I don't know what to do. Now, how am I going to deal with this? I have all these things in the back of my mind that I have to do, but now I have to do these other things. And as you say, it's just, and Diane has this example of the yoga. I think that's really good to think, breathe, when you're going through periods of, I have to do all these things, and I have to cope with all these other things that came up. Just breathe, think a little bit, and then move forward in that end.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are my days, in many instances, and I feel like, now which one do I go? And little by little, I made that a habit without even thinking about it. And I think I'm going to start doing it every morning, at midday, at night, to be more relaxed and not to be in those, not temper tantrums, but those nerve-wracking situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people that they run on empty gas, so to speak, right? It's just like a vehicle. You see that the vehicle, okay, now you're full, so that's fine. Everything's going along great. Then it comes to half, and you're like, oh, little mental note, I got to stop somewhere, maybe pick up. Then it gets to a quarter, so you only got a quarter of a tank left. And you think, oh, right, I really got to stop and get some gas. And then all of a sudden the thing comes on. You have like, I don't know, for me, I think once our light comes on, it's like 80 kilometers or something like that. So then you think, now I really have to stop and get that. And yet, during our day, just like you said, just if you stop and breathe, and this is the same thing that I've coached on, hundreds of women on, is the fact of what are you doing in your day for you? Is it, a cup of coffee in the morning while you do journaling, or is it better at night? But most people are always like, I don't have the time. And I'm like, you have to take the time to put into your schedule for you and your maintenance, okay? And just like Eugenia said, just breathing. And I don't know if any of you follow Brennan Bouchard, but he actually has on YouTube, now he's getting up to about, 30 or 40 videos or even more. But he has so many focusing tips and ideas and things that could help people, like where do you start? So if I was going to give somebody information, that's probably one of the people that I would point them to, because he talks a lot about that. You know, you live a more happy life when you are cleared, I guess is the word I'm looking for. You live, a happy and successful life is just a string of happy moments. So how many happy moments can you create in your day?
Yeah. Jody, I just want to piggyback on what you and Eugenia said here, and something that I have learned and that has been working so well for me is lists. Make a list of what we need to get done, because then you kind of know where you're at. And I know Sharon mentioned earlier that if you do it the night before and you know what's coming the next day, but as you focus on your lists and on your things to do and form those habits of following the list, it's amazing what can happen. I even make grocery lists now, which I've never done before. And we work
Yay!
on a habit of regularly every 2 weeks going grocery shopping, but randomly I'd run out to Safeway for stuff I needed because I didn't have it for that particular supper. So I decided, okay, well, I have to start making lists and we have to kind of plan our week of 2 weeks, whatever, of meals. And wow, life is just so much easier because we don't have to panic just before you get the supper going, oh, I'm missing this or I'm missing that, or the sour cream's not here, or where's the salsa, you know? So it's just amazing how you can make it so much easier for yourself and your life as the day goes on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too that when it comes to my business and I'm finished my business activities for the day, I just flip the page. I've been using, I think Diane's using her method too, but one of the ladies we work with, Valerie Mason, said have a little notebook, and I've been doing that. So I have a little notebook, and then what, you know, because my day, because I'm not going to claim it as Sharon says, I've been getting so much better with my daily chronic migraines, and so in a day where I kind of feel maybe one coming on, I'll just stop for the day. Then I know that I have to take my time. And then I just kind of take what I didn't finish from the other day here, so you can kind of see. And then the next day, I start with those things that I didn't quite finish. But I do make a point at the beginning of my day, 30 minutes reading and 30 minutes listening to something positive is definitely at the top. Like I do that every single day, persistently. And the other thing that I kind of want to talk about, and you guys can comment on this too, is these 4 new habits, to be better habits. So to take a habit that's maybe keeping you back, whether it be in your business or your self-development or in love and relationships. But look at those habits and kind of choose which 4 you'd like to focus on. And they can be, like at the beginning of the year, for me, example was health, obviously having a pain every day. And the one thing that I really wanted to focus on was more water, because I realized I'm not a huge water, just go and have a drink of water from the tap type person. So that was one new habit that I wanted to focus on right at the beginning of the year, and now it is just such a habit. In the morning, when first thing I wake up, I go down to the fridge and I have a nice cold water that I've put in there from the night before, and that's what I start drinking. So I don't even have any other breakfast or coffee or anything until that water's done. And that was a simple habit, but it sure has made a difference in my health. So, let's think of maybe some ways that we can help people here by sharing a habit that we had a couple months ago that we started and your results that's given for you.
One habit that I've done that has really worked really, really well for me is something called the 30-30-30 rule. And Jody mentioned this a few moments ago, because there is power in learning. And you should practice the 30-30 rule every single day. And the 30-30 rule consists of 30 minutes of reading every day to improve your knowledge and your skills, 30 minutes of audio every day for personal development, and you perform these tests for 30 days, then guess what? You rinse and repeat. Why? Because you're never tired of learning, or that's a process that you can continually to do every day, because there is lots and lots of stuff out there for you to learn to improve your leadership skills. to help your team grow. Um, there's just so many things out there, and when you do this, you are feeding the mind and moving forward to achieving your dreams and goals. And it's very important to learn something new every day. And you can do this by going to the library. You can download books from Amazon, or you can read books on your Kindle. The more power you put into yourself, the better you will be as it relates to your skills and knowledge. And it only takes a little extra time, persistence, and focus to go from great to becoming addicted to improving your knowledge and skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jack Canfield mentions that, even if you want to have 4 new habits, say in the next year, because you've got to have a point to start, he really recommends that just focusing on 1 new habit for 13 weeks. So the other thing, and this is why New Year's I can't speak, resolutions never work for a lot of people, is because they make so many at the beginning of the year instead of just focusing on one that they can really change. And then what happens is you find that you're breaking that new habit so quick because you're kind of overwhelmed. And so I really agreed with Jack had done here, because again, I was reading this in his Power of Focus, which is the same thing, and just focusing on 1 new habit for 13 weeks before you introduce a new one.
I love that, Jody. I love that you mentioned that starting with one but focusing on 4 a year. It's a small number and we can all wrap our minds around that. But something I wanted to share is with people out there listening, is something that we've started, and I know Jody and I have started this, is to follow a leader. Pick 1 or 2 leaders that you really look up to, somebody who's very successful and who is where you would like to be, or making the kind of money that you would like to make, and follow them and read what they're doing and follow them on Facebook and check and see what they're doing. Sometimes you will see daily stuff that these people are going. Like some of our leaders that I'm following are doing stuff every single day, and if they have meetings or they have hangouts or something, I make sure that I get on those and I listen to what they do and I learn from that. So that's a very good habit, and that has benefited me a lot here in the last one.
Yeah, and I know that for both of us, we had both, agreed. That's another thing too. If maybe you're getting stuck, have somebody that you can share stuff with, that helps keep you motivated and on task. And Diane and I have been accountability partners for, oh my gosh, February, March?
Hey, almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year. And, we both have had habits that we had wanted to change. And a lot of times we would even agree together, because you know what? You will find other people who are on the same journey as you and where you are at. And our habits of where we're at might be a little bit different from, say, someone who's just started out with our company. But you have to go at the level that you're at and always do just a little bit more. I think successful people do just that little bit more. And even if it, like we said, changing 1 habit, what is one thing that you could say today that you would change? And the other one that I had actually probably about a year ago was I was in a bad habit of every time I go shopping, which, like Diane says, it could be a couple times a week because you forget stuff. And I was in a habit of picking up a Starbucks coffee, which was expensive. So I had decided if I wanted to put that money towards, say, a small business or something that I would gain value by learning, then I would cut out that coffee. And then I found that actually it's tea. So it was a tea actually from Starbucks that I was drinking. And then I made a point of, I found out that the same tea was at Costco. And I got 3 liters, 3 1-liter things of the same tea that I just add milk to, and it only cost me $9. So I decided to give up something to change that habit. And for me, the habit was, I realized how much money I was wasting every week by having a certain tea every time I went out. And by changing that habit, I put a lot of, I think I kind of equaled out, Diane knows I love my numbers, so I think it equaled out to I saved almost $42 a month by installing this one new habit of not going out and having a Starbucks every time I leave the house. So there's simple things you can do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those little things can add up to a big thing later on. But once you find out what that habit is that you want to change, you need to move on to the next one. But when you move on to the next one, don't forget about the one that you've already changed. Continue to make it a habit in your life, and then after a while, it will become natural. So, when you moving on to the next thing, don't forget where you've come from. Just add on a new habit and keep practicing the new one from the previous 13 weeks that you have learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how he says too, what Diane had already mentioned this, but if you could change five in 5 years, 4 habits a week or a year, I guess, you'd have changed 20 new habits in 5 years. And just think of those 20 changes and how it would make you grow as a person, in your business, in your relationships. And at the end of this, he has a no exceptions rule. So the one thing is, if you are going to instill at least even one new habit right now, I don't care if you make a big sticky note or place it where you see and just say no exceptions rule. That is something you have to focus on no matter what. And I know that one of the ladies we work with, she had committed to going to the gym. And I think it was Keisha. And she had made a commitment to go there, and she joined a spinning class. And it was kind of funny because on one, she made a picture of herself that she's like, I don't really want to be here, but you know what? I made the commitment. And so, people who are going forward in life have a no exception rule. So when they want to change a habit, it's no exceptions. You got to do it.
Exactly.
And I would like to add this little note that every single day, praise yourself for everything that you achieved or you worked on that habit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that was one of my habits too, that during the course of the year is to be grateful, what things are you grateful for? And so many times we do so much stuff, but just like Eugenia said, that's a very good point, we don't acknowledge that we got that done. And you should reward yourself when you do something consistently for a couple of weeks and pat yourself on the back and, give yourself a special treat, so.
I've been doing it on a daily basis because sometimes I started so scrambled around that I started putting my things on the list and trying to stick with my list. Even though I had these other things, all these fires that I've been always trying to put them down. At the end of the day, I just sit a moment, go over the things that I've done, and then I praise myself and I said, just thank you, I've made it. Good job. That little thing gives me more energy for the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Diane and I have known this too. We consistently, every day, we touch base, and consistently, and even with this group, we consistently touch base even after the call here just to see what everyone's going to do and what you're going to accomplish in the day. And I love that because that really kind of keeps you motivated to, okay, I've set this task out and now I have to be accountable to 4 other people. So, yeah. All right. We're going to end off the call here. I see that Rachel just joined us. Did you have anything to add as we finish off? Oh.
Sure. I'll jump in for a minute. Hello, everyone. So glad to be here with you. I've been having internet connections this morning, but I did not get all of what you talked about, but I did pick up the word habit. It's something that I just want to share. I love sharing stuff, so I want to share this with you all because it was imparted to me, and I believe that once something is imparted to you, that you should give it back. And this impartation was the things that successful people do, okay? And there are actually 7 of them. I'm going to read them off real quick, and I'm going to say goodbye after that. But I think that this is really, really good information that that we all can carry with us every day. One is focus on where you want to go, not your current condition. So you don't want to focus on, I'm broke, I'm sick, things are the way that they are. You want to focus on where you want to go. Where is it that you want to go? What type of lifestyle do you want to have, as opposed to focusing on where you're at currently. Number 2, focus on habits that will change the results. Don't focus on the results. Focus on the habits that will change the results. The 4th one is guard your language. Do not use words like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated. Those words that you use that are negative, that's what you're attracting into your life. So make sure you're using words of power. The next one is invest in yourself. Take time, spend money, whatever it takes, invest in yourself so that you can improve your skill, improve where you're wanting to go. The next one is guard who you spend time with. And Jody, just like you mentioned earlier, us holding each other accountable, us hanging together. Be careful about the people that you surround yourself with, because those same people, either they're going to build you up or they're going to tear you down. Last one is focus on both what works, but instead, focus on not what works, but instead what I want. So take all of your energy and focus on what you want. And I've been doing a lot of studying lately on vision, vision. And my vision, I tried this morning because I'm looking, you know what? I'm liking my vision. I'm liking what I'm reading every day. I'm loving my major definite purpose, but I want to take it to another level. So there's I know it's a long page of, what I want, my major definite purpose. And because it's so much, I just took it off into segments because I have it written in paragraphs. So I just took that first paragraph and I just closed my eyes and I just saw myself where I want to be, what I want my life to look like. And as I'm doing this, I'm noticing a shift in the things that I'm desiring, the things that I want, the things I don't want. And it's just very interesting because now I'm just wanting more free time. Free time just to have fun is what I want. But, that's what happens when you begin to, one of the habits talked about was when you begin to change your habits. Because not all the habits that we have are good. And so you got to ask yourself, am I doing things, are my habits like successful people? And if they're not, begin to change those habits and it will change your life. Back to you, Jody.
Sorry, had to unmute. You pretty much summed up exactly what we talked about. And just as we finish here, what habit could you take today that you want to make a change with? And we also talked about acknowledging the habits as you're doing them, which we discussed as well. And for myself, that was a really important one, because many times we have a couple of Facebook groups that we follow and we make comments in and stuff. And somebody had asked, what are you going to do today, to change something, or where are you at right now? And for myself, I wanted to be here more for my kids and not work that 50-hour plus week that I had and miss stuff out with my kids. And so I had just commented, hey, I am living it right now. I'm at one of my kids' baseball games and I'm pain free. That was one of the goals and habits and visions that I wanted, and you have to acknowledge those things too, because we so focus on what we didn't accomplish, but yet we have to celebrate what we are doing, and I think that that's very, very important. So again, thank you all for joining us today, and this will be on our site, fearlessonlineentrepreneurs.com, and we'd love to hear what habits that you've changed this year or that you want to change, and if you need somebody to be consistent with, let us know. Okay, we will do our best to match you up with someone who is as close to where you are at in your business, in your personal life, or in any personal goals that you may have. So again, thank you for listening, and thank you for all the beautiful panel ladies for being here. I truly appreciate you and love you all.